Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzuoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. Now, Steve, you get to hear the same question all the time, which is how much money do I need to retire and how can you make sure I don't run out of money? These are two very, very popular questions understandably so. And then what about asking yourself this? Well, how much do you think you're going to spend per month in retirement? Well, the new average is about $5,300 a month, or if you say that annually, it's $63,000 a year. So how much of that really comes from Social Security and even a pension? I mean, if you're thinking about a starting point, that foundation of where's this coming from, it sounds pretty simple, but it can't be that easy.
Well, nothing is really simple. And averages to me can be dangerous because everybody I meet is so different. If I meet someone who's assembled a good deal of money in a 401k and is used to having 150, 200,000 of income coming in, their expectations are certainly a lot different than someone with less money. So what I try to focus on is obviously we have Social Security, but in addition to that, some people are lucky to have pensions, Jess, and most of us are not. So the only thing we can rely on when I usually meet people is how much is your Social Security check going to be and when do we take that? So that's a big question. So that's part of the process of when we chat and get together. The other piece, of course, is how much money have you saved in your IRA, your 401k, your 403b if you're nonprofit out there, because that is going to be the bucket that we're going to draw from to supplement your income needs. And it's a very important bucket. And how you draw from that, Jess, is going to determine whether or not you run out of money or you have enough money to stay retired for as long as you want. And so obviously that's the scary part. So this state is, I'm sure, well above the average of $5,300. My guess is someone's going to need around at least $7,000 a month, even with no expenses, just because of it's just the standard of living up here, just the taxes and everything else involved. We're going to talk more about that later in the show, but my goal is to try to use the money that people have as wisely as we can and to make it last as long as we can for them. I mean, that's really should be everybody's objective, is no one wants to run out of money. That is the scariest thing in the world to someone retiring. No question, it's running out of money. So how do we prevent that? And that's what I'm here to do, is to help people understand the different options out there and how things work.
Oh, you're exactly right. Understanding those options, talking about those different tools and strategies. And yes, running out of money is certainly the number one fear. And then you talk about the silent killer out there, inflation. That's something that we've been talking about for, oh my gosh, I feel like years now at this point, especially where things are. So a lot of folks are looking to those alternative things like guaranteed income, because that matters, right? Social Security, a lot of folks worried about, will it be there? Will it be depleted? Pensions, very few and far between these days. So how can you create your very own pension? Steve, this is where you come in. And I know it sounds too good to be true. People go, what do you mean? I can have income for life. I'm going to get a check every month. Where's the fine print?
I still love the looks that I get from people when I tell them I can help you create a paycheck for life, no matter who's in office, all that stuff. I can guarantee a check similar to the old-time pension products that were out there in the past and have that be guaranteed. Not a hypothetical. Too many people see their statements lately, Jess, and on the statement there's this hypothetical, here's your pile of money and here's what it could produce. That is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen on a 401k statement. It's even more dangerous than the fees that are potentially out there, because it puts these people into a false sense of hope or reality, if you will, totally a guess. And that's the last thing you want to do, is to totally guess what you're going to have in retirement. Social Security obviously is a staple, and it'll be there. But you also want other money to be there, especially money that we've worked. And I say we because I'm self-employed. I have a 401k. So we need to make it work smarter, I guess. And the trap that I see just about everybody fall into is when they see this pile of money, like especially now, right? The market's been on fire. It's been crazy. But that creates a false sense of security too, because people forget that in 2022, what a disaster it was. And by the way, the beginning of the year wasn't too pretty either. And in the past, we've had some really big breakdowns. I'm not saying that's going to happen soon, but it will happen periodically throughout your retirement. So while you're working, it doesn't affect you. When you're retired, it has a drastic effect on your pile. So what do I do, Steve? Well, what you do is you need to speak with someone like myself who's been in the industry for a long time, who understands that there are alternatives that you can look at that can literally provide you a paycheck similar to what you're doing, getting up out of bed every morning, going to work, making a check. Wouldn't you like your money to be able to do that for you? I mean, that is the definition of retirement. So we help people create lifetime paychecks for both themselves and their spouses if they're married. So that's the secret, right? You see all the time on social media, the big secret. I see this stuff lately, the secret to losing weight. And apparently it's gelatin or something, which, by the way, I'm not buying at all. Okay, I'm not even buying that story. But there's no secret out there. What I do is not a secret. Unfortunately, it's not talked about enough in the retirement circles. That's why we're still doing this show after all these years, Jess, because I need to get the word out to say, look, there is a different way to retire, one that can offer you more peace of mind, greater peace of mind, and a paycheck for life. And I haven't met anybody yet who doesn't want that. So I'm glad you're listening, and I'd love to hear the audience out there. We've gotten some great calls. We've gotten some local business owners calling us. We've gotten people who've – Jess, I had someone last week was so excited to come into the office and see the studio that we sat together in the seat. Well, not in the same seat, but, next to me. And we took his wife took a picture of us in the studio.
Love that.
It was really cool. So, but that's what we have right here in Hyannis, right on Main Street. So come visit, or if you're working, come visit us at night. I'm here. I'll work till whatever I got to do to help people come in and talk about their retirement. I love this stuff. I'm very passionate about it after all these years in the business, and I can absolutely help you get on track with showing you real numbers, not hypothetical numbers. So I can't wait to help.
So if you are interested in sitting down with Steve one-on-one, here's what we're going to do for our listeners today. Obviously, the show is called Ready, Set, Retire, so it makes sense that we want to give you a Ready, Set, Retire plan. Give a call today. That's 508-552-3230. This is where you'll address all of those concerns. Have I saved enough? Am I going to run out of money? Oh, by the way, what's this guaranteed income you keep talking about? We'll do a complimentary, no cost, no obligation. 508-552-3230. That website, fairwayfinancial.net. Steve, we know that 401ks, they really took off in the 1980s. Congress basically created this as a way to defer taxes on certain income. But let's face it, today, Americans, that's exactly what it's become. So, is the 401k dead? Yahoo Finance asked Charles Payne with Fox Business.
I don't know that it's dead. I will say, though, that the 401k hasn't lived up to the hype. And I think that's one of the problems, right? And every year they come out and they'll say we have this many 401k millionaires, right? It sounds like a huge number. Cool. Then you say, well, how many people have a 401k? And it's like 0.03% of everyone with one. So the promise was that if you just put this money in, it was going to end up being worth a lot of money. And I don't know that it's dead, but I think people have to approach it differently. And I think they're starting to, particularly like the 60-40 portfolio. I think that's a huge mistake. On the 40 side, 40% in bonds, I think is just a massive mistake at this point.
All right. Well, he talks about bonds here. So let's tackle that first. He says they're not doing exactly the job that they used to do. So what should we be looking at now?
Well, by the way, I love Charles Payne. He's on Fox all the time. He's fantastic. And he's spot on about the expectations, because the 401k wasn't supposed to replace a pension, because it's not a pension. But that's the way the companies pasted it. That's the marketing that they did. So they went out there and said, well, we don't have any more pensions. And the reason they dropped pensions, Jess, was because it was too expensive for corporations to have them. Why? Because a pension made the company promise the employees a paycheck for life. That was too expensive. So they dumped them. They got a 401k. They made it look pretty. They added a match to make it appear to be just as good or very much like a pension, and it is far from that. However, having said that, it is still, in my opinion, the best way to save for someone still working in retirement, because where else can you put away it's right around $33,000 a year and deduct it off your current taxes if that's your choice, or you could put away $33,000 a year, do not deduct it, and have it grow tax-free. So you have two options in 401ks today. So there's still a great way to do things. Your expectations have to change. And I think that's what he's referring to, and what I've been referring to for over a decade, or 12 years I've been on the radio, I think. And I've been saying this. My tune has not changed. A 401k is designed to defer money into the future where you can then try to use it to supplement your Social Security check. It is not a replacement for the old pension plans. But for most people, it's the only thing they have other than Social Security. Ironically, there are ways that you can replace a what was an old pension plan with something similar today called a lifetime income annuity, which is designed to give you a paycheck for life. Okay? That's exactly what it's designed to do, is to be a personally controlled paycheck. So that is the idea, to use the 401k properly when you retire. You need to have some of it spill off some income, and then the rest of it can be growth. And wasn't that interesting what Charles said about not liking the 60-40 model? He thinks it's way outdated, way too conservative. And that's what he meant, Jess, when he talked about the bonds. He's just and by the way, I work with my money manager, because we do not do money management in my firm. We use a outside vendor who's been in the business for 30 years. He feels the same way. He goes, bonds are just not getting it done. These are not my words. These are his words. And he likes the idea of stock, growth, all that stuff. So that's why I strike a good balance between the growth part and the income part. So that's what people are missing out. They're not taught about this at their work because their HR department doesn't get into that. So look, Jess, we can get as fancy as we want or as simple as we want. The bottom line is everything involving retirement planning involves income. You can call it wealth management. You can call it financial planning. You can add whatever term you want. But the simplest term is you're trying to replace your working check with a non-working check. That's it. It's not complicated, although our world tends to want to make it complicated. I don't like it. We don't need to do that. You need a paycheck. If you're making $8,000 a month, let's say, and you retire, and your Social Security is going to provide $3,500, well, there's a shortfall there. You don't need to be a mathematician to figure that one out. So you probably don't need 100% of it, but you probably need at least 80% of it, maybe more. Some people spend more in retirement, Jess. How's that for a fact? They have more leisure time.
Sure, yeah, it's real easy.
What's the number one fear? Again, remind the audience.
It is running out of money.
So that means running out of your pile of money, right? Running out of income. Now, Social Security, technically, will never run out, assuming the government's still here 100 years from now or 50 years from now. So what we need is another source to say, hey, guess what? Here's a paycheck. And by the way, if the economy's bad, if we're fighting Iran or fighting Russia or fighting China or fighting whoever, it's not going to matter. Your check's coming. Mailbox money is what we used to call it. Now it's direct deposit money. And I dealt with multimillionaires. I've done with millionaires. I've dealt with people with $250,000 in savings. It doesn't matter. Everybody I talk to loves the idea of a paycheck. I had an attorney come in here with a very large 401k. And when I told him I can give him a paycheck for life, he was like, "You're kidding me." I said, "No, here it is." And he owns his own firm, and he committed over $1 million to me. I had another gentleman who does very, very well, leading salesman for his company, and makes very good money, has a very good 401k, diligent saver. And when I told him about this concept, again, he was floored. And he invested 25% of that pile, okay, $1 million into this plan. Listen, he wants a paycheck for him and his wife. Who doesn't? And the administrators aren't going to tell him this story. And the reason they're not going to tell him this story is because they get paid to keep your money where it is. It's that simple. So if you want the correct information, the right information, you need to go to an independent source. You need to give me a call because I'm independent.
Which means you don't have just option A, B, and C.
It means I represent the client first. That's what it means. I'm not representing a 401k. I'm not representing a particular insurance company or anybody else. I represent the customer first, period. So, by the way, every time I hear the word independent, I can't help but think of Rudolph and go, independent. So it's just every time I hear that. But anyway, I am independent, and I am for a reason, because when I sit and I meet with people, I want them to know that I'm their advocate. I'm looking out for them. I'm doing the shopping for them. I have all these companies for a reason, because I'm selecting for them the top 2 or 3 out there so I can present it on paper, tell them about the pros and cons of each, and help them decide which is best from them. That's what I bring to the table. So if that makes sense to you, if you're trying to figure all this stuff out and you're finding you're going down rabbit holes, you are not alone. That's why I still do this show, and we're going to tell you how you can meet up and give us a call and come visit us here in Hyannis, or if you work late, hey, I'm here for you. You got to meet at 5 or 6. I just met with someone last week at 6 o'clock. It's not a big deal to me. My wife gets it. She understands. She also works at the office, so she knows how it goes. We're here to help you get to where you need to be. So give us a call, and I'd love to share this with you. You deserve it. You need to have this information in your hand so that you have hard facts, so that you can make a better decision.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzuoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzuoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzuoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzuoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.